Okay, today I'm going to go over my OTC supplementation, and as a bodybuilder we all know that we have to differentiate between OTC and maybe UTC, under the counter or some shit like that. Anyway, in my secret cabinet down here, I have all of my supplements, all my vitamins, protein powder, stuff like that. After years of being a meathead, I finally caved to my wife busting my balls to get all this shit off the countertop so that when people walk in, they see a normal home and a normal countertop. So I now have this special compartment that nobody sees, so I have it all tucked away. My OTC supplementation it's old guy shit. It's focused more around, and I say health, but it's almost specifically, probably 80% of what I use is either blood pressure related, heart disease related, and it might have secondary characteristics of being potentially anti-cancerous. I don't take supplements specifically to fight cancer, but if it has a secondary component and that may be anti-cancer, then great. So I'm going to run down. I have a couple notes here because of dosages and stuff like that. I've been using this protocol for quite a while. So right before I started filming, I thought, I'll just rattle off the dosages off the top of my head. And then it occurred to me that I didn't know half of the dosages off the top of my head. So to be able to give an accurate description, I know not only what I'm using, why I'm using it, but also dosages. Now, some of these compounds or some of these supplements, you might find the dosages to be higher than you may have thought or anticipated. And I'll give reasons why. I'm careful with the compounds that could potentially have any sort of like toxic level or stuff. Like red yeast rice is a good example. That's not one of the supplements that you want to megadose or err on the side of taking more than you need. Where other compounds, garlic, things like that, don't really have that those negative components of taking too much. Now, I'm not megadosing or anything like that, but a couple of these may seem a little bit high. So quite a bit. Of course, everything is relative. Obviously, back here I just have extra stash because I hate running out of shit. Plus, with vitamins and supplements, it seems like you're always running out of something every 2 weeks anyway. So I try to keep a pretty good supply on hand, especially the compounds that I can't get from a regular store. A lot of the vitamins that I have, I just get from Walgreens. I don't get all fancy and look for the, do research and find the most bioavailable, supplement and form of it and things like that. Some things I do, ubiquinol, things like that, but I'm not going to pay 4 times over for something that I can just take a little bit more of and pay a fraction of the price for. So just start off. Just going to go down my list. Vitamin D. Even though I get a lot of sun, obviously, which is huge for vitamin D anyway, I still make it a point to take 6,000 units a day. Consistently over the last handful of years, my doctor has commented that he hasn't seen healthy vitamin D levels like mine. So you may think, well, you take 16 or 6,000 units, you're probably off the charts for your blood work, when in reality, I'm right where I need to be. So my advice to people when it comes to vitamin D supplementation, I think I've heard Shelby say this before as well, it really needs to be higher than most people think. Okay, I would have thought with 6,000 units and me being in the sun all the time that I might be off the charts as far as my blood levels, and they're not. So again, a lot of this comes back to blood work. So check it, see where your levels are. Vitamin D is huge for your immune system, which is kind of, it's not a catch-22, or it's not ironic, I guess, but the sun is considered to be so bad, potentially so cancer-causing. Yet the reason that natural sunlight is still good in moderation is because of the vitamin D properties as well. I'm not going to get into tanning, my philosophies on that. I'll cover that when I get into my other supplementation with melanotan and that sort of thing. But sunlight, or being out in the sun, exposure to the sun, in my opinion, is only bad when it causes burning. But I'll get to that later. Next supplement down the list, magnesium. And the vitamin D I only take at bedtime. I take it once a day, 6,000 units. Boom. I also take magnesium at 500 milligrams before bed. Just a solid, supplement. Taking it at bedtime, along with zinc. Zinc at 200 milligrams, which is a little bit high. I take zinc primarily because of the benefits to what I call old man skin. And that is where your skin loses elasticity to the point where when you get lean, it gets a little loose. And I started battling with that a few years ago, and I hate it. So it's not terrible, it's not bad, but it's certainly showing signs that it's there. And I supplement the zinc to help with skin elasticity, to kind of hold off maybe it getting worse, that sort of thing, which is another fine example, a very good reason that as we age, it becomes that much more important to not yo-yo up and down in weight from either off-season to prep, or if you don't compete, that you just don't roller coaster throughout the year. Even when people don't compete, they tend to put on weight in the winter, and then they come back down and they lean. You gotta get ready for the beach, ride your bike and motorcycle, whatever. So that fluctuation when you're older, when the skin doesn't have that same elasticity, it'll get you, and it'll end up getting a little loose on you. And there's nothing worse, well, maybe a chin, but there's nothing worse as you age than to see your skin go. In my opinion, I don't think aging is seen as much with muscularity or body fat levels or anything like that as much as it is with skin. There's nothing, there's that person you went to school with that now you're in your 40s and you look and you're like, oh my God, your face looks like it's 55. Or you've got a double chin, not necessarily even from body fat, but that it's just all loose and it's all something like that. Anyway, it's just fucking nasty. So the name of the game, as far as I'm concerned, and this is just myself speaking for me, I'm just fighting the aging process. I'm not, I may compete again, but this isn't about anymore about getting a pro card, going to nationals or anything like that. It's hanging on to my youth. It's trying to look as young as I can, being as energetic as I can, which translates into personality, how you carry yourself, whether you're laughing, whether you're sobbing in your hands in the car, have a gun in your mouth, that sort of thing. So, next one, potassium. Taking it a couple days. This isn't a, a lot of these supplements aren't deal maker / deal breaker type supplements. Potassium doesn't have this huge impact on blood pressure or heart disease or anything else. But because I tend to try to keep my sodium a little bit higher, I try to counter it with 200 milligrams twice a day of potassium. It's usually around my workouts, pre and post, that sort of thing. Vitamin B-complex, pretty straightforward. Just a bunch of B vitamins, which are obviously water soluble. I take that twice a day as well, usually around workouts. What my body doesn't need, what my body doesn't use, I just PP out. Makes for a very yellow toilet bowl, basically, from the first hour or two afterwards. Ubiquinol. These next three, ubiquinol, vitamin K2, and curcumin, are three not new supplements, but three of the newer supplements that I have in my protocol. Started maybe a couple years ago. All three of these are huge for heart disease. And I think they kind of go hand in hand, I guess is kind of the best way to explain it. They are not cheap. These are three that I usually buy off the internet, 8 to 10 bottles at a time, so that I don't run out and so that I can get them a little bit cheaper. Curcumin is not cheap. And when ubiquinol isn't either, when the dosage, especially when the dosages are higher. You get them in, 100 milligram, that's completely different. But obviously, if you're taking 200 milligram, you're going to get it in 100 milligram doses. You're going to rip through that bottle twice as fast. So, ubiquinol is essentially coenzyme Q10. Okay, up to about 25 years old, the body can use coenzyme Q10, and you can basically, it's a lot cheaper than ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is essentially a more bioavailable form of coenzyme Q10. As you get older and you pass that 25 or 30 year mark, which I passed a couple of years ago, it's just better for me to have a more bioavailable form. That way I know that I'm getting more. Yes, it's more expensive. So contrary to what I said earlier, I could take coenzyme Q10 and just take a whole bunch of it. In this particular case, I want to get 400 milligrams a day, which is kind of high. But as an athlete, my dose is a little bit higher because heart disease and that sort of thing is important the older that I get. I would rather take a little bit higher dose of coenzyme Q10 than I would a lower, and kind of err on that side of being cautious, I guess. Let's see, 400, 200, 200 milligrams twice a day. Vitamin K2, I hit it 100 milligrams twice a day. This is a really good compound for helping your body essentially transport calcium to where it needs to be, okay, which is bones and teeth instead of, say, in your arteries. Okay, it helps to cut down on the calcification of arteries, which obviously is something that we don't want, whether we're 30 or 60 or anywhere in between. So not a terribly expensive supplement, but this is the MK7 version, which, based on my research, is the better move. There's K1, K2. K1 is just not even worth it. So to get exactly what I need, it's just easier to find it on the internet, have it show up at my doorstep. Curcumin, 250 milligrams twice a day. With curcumin you can get with turmeric or black pepper already combined in the supplement, or you can take them separately. I find it cheaper to just buy peppercorns. Do it that way. I take 8 to 10 peppercorns each time I dose the curcumin, and that makes my body utilize and absorb that much more of the curcumin. So again, you can get it combined in the same supplement, that sort of thing. I just find it very much cheaper to just take the peppercorns. Aspirin, bare aspirin, baby aspirin, 81 milligrams. It's just a blood thinner, essentially. I take one every day when I get up with my coffee, religiously. I live at a very high elevation. We're at 9,000 feet here, give or take 10 feet. So as the elevation goes up, your blood viscosity also goes up. Your RBCs, hematocrit, and hemoglobin have to compensate for the lower amount of oxygen at a higher elevation. So to counter that, and obviously I'm on TRT dosing too, and even though I do well on TRT, low dose testosterone in my blood viscosity doesn't go up much at all, like when I cycled, I still have a small increase from the TRT dosing. And then, of course, combining that with a higher elevation, I want to be very careful, and that's one of the reasons that I take a daily dose of baby aspirin. Now, to be fair, there's a difference between having higher RBC hematocrit hemoglobin levels from the use of testosterone or other AAS, which I consider an artificial change or an artificial impact or effect on your blood numbers versus being at higher elevation, okay? It may look the same in blood work, but it's completely different when it comes to the dangers or safety as far as the potential for stroke, heart attack, things like that. I'm doing a lot of research on that right now because I was very concerned moving to 9,000 feet going, well, how can it be different? Blood numbers are blood numbers, but the research and everything that I'm coming up with is not at all along those lines. So I'm continuing to look into it. There's certainly not a lot of research comparing elevation to, say, steroid use. So I'm trying to go through the research and trying to put logic to it and try to interpret it. And it looks clear to me that the higher elevations, there's actually a lower heart disease rate at higher elevations, which is kind of nice. But anyway, when it comes to blood work and things like that, if you live at sea level and then you move and you live for a year at, even in Denver, at 5,200, where I'm at 9,000, 5,200 is still a significant increase in elevation. So when it comes to blood work, you have to have different ranges, different normal ranges for RBCs, hematocrit, and hemoglobin, because you're going to run higher at that higher elevation. I'll get into that more when I talk about my blood work issues in the other chapter, which I'll go to in depth. But I just want to touch on that as far as the aspirin is concerned. Red yeast rice, I take usually 2 times a day, sometimes 3, depends on solid meals and timing and that sort of thing. Usually at about 1.2 grams or 1,200 milligram per meal. Okay, so this is one of those that might seem, wow, that's kind of high. But based on the studies, red yeast rice acts very similar to a statin. So it's actually I consider it quite a powerful supplement. Okay, it's going to lower cholesterol, impact blood pressure quite a bit by bringing it down. And when I say impact cholesterol, where garlic can lower total LDL by roughly 10% usually, which is pretty significant. I mean, 10 points on 100 is a pretty big deal when it comes to LDL by just taking the supplement. And that's at only 1,200 milligrams a day for garlic. That's pretty good. The red yeast rice has been shown to lower LDL 20 to 26%. Pretty substantial. And those are at doses between 1.2 and 2.4 grams a day. So 1,200 to 2,400 milligrams. So I'm in that 2,400 milligram range usually. On the odd day, I may get another 1,200, which would kick me up to 3,600. But that's not common. I haven't had any sides that I have noticed. It does help my LDL tremendously, even though I don't usually run on the high end for LDL anyway over the years. It's still good to have that low. I tend to, when I have cholesterol issues on blood work, it's usually because my HDL is lower than I want it to be. So, excellent, probably one of the better supplements that I take and that I recommend, especially for the older demographic, your 40-somethings, 50-something, that sort of thing. Fish oil, anti-inflammatory, obviously. And a couple of these other supplements that I take are anti-inflammatory too. I mean, curcumin, same thing. And I tend to take the fish oil pre and post, and I've been questioned about this quite a bit over the last couple of years when I bring it up. I brought it up on the podcast before, and the same thing happened. I prefer to take the anti-inflammatories around workouts. I just feel that it's a positive, good thing to have those anti-inflammatories pre and post. So my fish oil I like to take pre and post. Curcumin is almost always post. If it's not post, or if it's not pre, it'll be the meal prior to my pre-workout. Another supplement that I take pre and post is my Boswellia extract. And this stuff is a godsend. I did not know the impact, the full impact of this for my knees until I ran out of it for about 4 months. After about 2 months, just kind of snuck up on me. I'm like, God, my knees are just freaking killing me again. You know what's going on? This hasn't happened in a few years. And because I'm slower than the average bear, you know, it took me another month to figure out, oh crap, I'm out of Boswellia. I haven't been using it. I wonder if there's a connection. So I hurried up and I ordered more. I take 1,000 milligrams pre and 1,000 milligrams post. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think that it matters at all that it's pre or post. It's just the way that I take it. That way I take it on my workout days, 4 days a week. And I will put it with 2 of my meals, 2 of my solid food meals on my non-training days. It's just the schedule that I keep. So as soon as I got that back in, within about 4 weeks, knees were good again. And the best way to explain it is they weren't painful as much as just kind of a dull ache. It took a long time to get them warmed up. I wouldn't say a tendonitis type of feel, but that's the closest thing I can explain. Tendonitis, as an example, you know, it might bother you when you're cold and you start to warm up, but the more you warm up, usually the better that area will feel, that joint or whatever's bothering you. And that is similar to what would happen with my knees. Been back on the Boswellia for about 3 months. No knee issues, none, 0. It's just awesome, awesome stuff, and very, very inexpensive. So if you have any type of joint, it doesn't have to be knees. It could be shoulders, could be elbows, whatever. I'd encourage you, especially because it's so cheap. It's just so cost effective that even if you get it and it doesn't work, you know it doesn't work, you didn't waste a lot of money. But it's good, good stuff. Let's see. My True Nutrition Whole Food Multivitamin just has a ton of shit in it, quite frankly. To go through everything would be a waste of my time and your time. Just kind of everything in the kitchen sink, basically. And I just take this once a day, first solid meal of the day, every day. Love it. Incredibly inexpensive. Good stuff. Can't go wrong with anything from True Nutrition. In fact, if I could get all my supplements from True Nutrition, I would certainly do that. So, I don't think I have missed anything. Garlic K2, yeah. The only other thing that I would note is, as far as calcium, because of my concern with the depositing of calcium in the right places, which is why I use the K2, I don't take an extra calcium supplement. I do eat, especially in the off season, a couple unsweetened, low fat, if not no fat, Greek yogurts. I mean, I'm getting some calcium and obviously vegetables and things like that. But I don't want to get a whole lot of calcium and have this abundance of calcium for fear that it doesn't end up in the right place. So whether that is true, whether that is founded or completely unfounded, I'm not sure. But I don't have any issues with calcium levels, so I'm not going to supplement. I'm also very low on vitamin C. I get a little bit of vitamin C from my vitamin B-complex, but it's not much. 350, 400 milligrams, something like that. I used to boatload the stuff, 2-3 grams, sometimes even 4 grams a day. And I see no difference now on the lower vitamin C dosing than I did on the higher. I'm not sick anymore now than I was then. There's just no difference. There was some discussion where vitamin C would also play a part, or plays a part in the calcification of arteries as well. Off the top of my head, unfortunately, I can't remember what that connection was, but that was another reason that I decided to pull the vitamin C dosing down to, plus vitamin C dosing or vitamin C supplements are not cheap unless they're the chewable sugary kind. When you get into the 500 meg and 1000 meg, capsules and tabs, man, they get you. It's not a cheap supplement. This is my OTC, supplementation. There's not, like I said, there's not a whole lot to it. I don't think that it's overly complicated. Again, it's all focused around health. It's focused around longevity. It's focused around me not dying tomorrow, quite frankly. And again, primary focus on blood pressure, the heart disease component, and if there's a little bit of anti-cancer properties in there, that's great too. I have in here, but I'll go over, I have a couple things in here that I'll go over when I go over the other supplementation, be it metformin, that sort of thing. What else? Obviously I have my protein and my BCAAs down here. If you don't know, and you haven't heard me say 1,000 times, I am not huge on get huge supplements. So pretty simple when it comes to supplements for training, getting bigger, getting leaner, impacting my workouts, that sort of thing. I'm a protein guy. Obviously my Team Skip blend from True Nutrition, I think it's tops. I put it together, I don't even know, 12-ish years ago, 10 years, 12 years, just so that I could use it for my own prep, so that I had a quality protein blend that I could diet with and get shredded. And from there, clients were asking me, well, what do you use? And I tell them I have this, and it kind of took off from there. So it's a very popular blend. A lot of prep guys actually have their clients use my Team Skip blend, which is quite flattering. So BCAA is instantized BCAA powder, which tastes like shit. So you have to flavor it with something, put it in your workout water. That's it. I'm not big on BCAAs at any other time of the day. Pre-cardio, none of that. You do cardio to burn body fat, not to burn BCAAs that you just drank. So I'll talk about catabolism and cardio and all that sort of mythological crap in the cardio and other sections. But that's pretty much it for the supplementation. In the other supplement chapter, I'll go over TRT, insulin, my supercompensating glycogen storage compound, which is incredibly funny to me that so many people haven't put together what that is. But nonetheless, I'll go over that, the significance of that with staying lean and still being able to grow. Metformin, of course. What else do I have in there? Anti-estrogen. It's very, very simple. MK677. I'll be going over that as well because I now believe that the quality MK677 is better than low-dose GH. But I'll get into that in the other chapter. If you need supplements, if you need protein, if you need BCAAs, if you need multivitamins, whatever, even if you need a pre-workout that I don't personally use, or creatine that I don't personally use, but you like it, check with TrueNutrition.com, discount code SKIP, save you a few bucks. Go to TrueNutrition.com first if you're looking for a supplement because you're going to find it cheaper. And it's obviously high quality, or True Nutrition would not have it on their website. They would not sell it. So whatever you can't find there, go look somewhere else for. You'll pay a little bit more for it, but it is what it is. Get whatever you can through TrueNutrition.com. Tell them I sent you. Use my discount code for a few extra bucks.